Life throws you punches. Trauma, life, and burnout. I've lived through it all, and I've built something for the fighters that refuse to stay down. If you're ready to stop playing small and own your story, then this is where you belong. The Unstoppable Network is where the overcoming stories are getting very loud. From veterans to survivors to trailblazers, sharing their story of turning their pain into power. Welcome to the Unstoppable Network, where we turn your mess into a message. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Unstoppable Network. I'm your host, Dorothy Odell. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of really talking about something that's close to my heart. As you all know, I am a veteran ally, but we do not give enough recognition to our women. So today is Women's Veterans Recognition Day, and what better way to celebrate that? I wanted to do like a salute to service for our women that have been in the uniform. So welcome to the show, Melissa Washington. Thanks for joining us again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting us back. I know there's other women that have been invited as well. So thank you for thinking of us. We greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely. And yes, there could be other women joining us. I put it out there. And so I'm sure as they remember, they might come on. But you and I were talking before we went recording here, and I didn't realize that it wasn't until June 12th of 1948 that women were actually allowed to officially join the military. That's wild.
Yes, because women were serving like nurses, but once the war was over, they were done. So they weren't part of the regular armed forces. So that's the significance. I mean, there's other things, of course, that were signed into that act that President Truman signed, but just the main thing is just acknowledging and understanding that day, which was a little over 75 years ago, not that long ago, that we were, allowed into the military, the regular military. And so I always want to make sure it's Women Veterans Recognition Day. It's not Women Veterans Day. We know there's already a Veterans Day. It happens in November, and we're not looking for the divide. It's just those, for us everybody to understand and to know that's when we were officially recognized.
That's right. I love that. So before we get into more of that, Melissa, could you share a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I would love to. So I'm Melissa Washington. I'm a Navy veteran. I'm also married to a retired Marine and also the daughter of a Vietnam veteran. And 11 years ago, I started a local meetup in Sacramento for women veterans, which is now Women Veterans Alliance, a global organization serving women across the globe.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service, first of all, and thank you for your family service. Yes. I mean, that is truly like a family of serving over there. So thank you for that. And how many years did you serve?
So I did 3 years active and the rest reserve. And then I'm married to my husband now. Will be our 32 years. So yes, having the experience of being on active duty and then becoming a Marine Corps wife.
Right.
Two very different experiences.
And they say once a Marine, always a Marine. So he doesn't really retire.
Oh, no, he doesn't. Trust me. And with us, with the Marine Corps being Department of the Navy, so we always it's always a little back and forth with us. It's fun, but yes,
exhausting.
It can be.
That's funny. I don't know if I've ever invited you to Angels 14. We meet every Friday. It's Veterans and Allies Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and the guys we get together, and it can be exhausting. I love everybody in there, and it's especially when you got a crayon eater and an Army officer and all retired, of course. Oh, and our Army, Navy, and Marines. So I mean, it they go at each other, and it's hilarious, but it is exhausting some days.
It's all in fun. So it's and that's that's the good banter that we have back and forth with the different services. Of course, the Air Force probably gets it more than any of the other branches, but it of course it just depends upon who's in the room.
That is true. Yes, air. What is that? Chair force is what
Air
I've
Force.
heard several
Yes.
times. So, with that though, so tell us more about your organization, though.
Absolutely. So I have Women Veterans Alliance, and it's a global network connecting um, connecting women with other women, connecting women with resources, connecting them with their benefits, and providing connection. And also, we also have our Women Veterans Engage conference, which is a once a year event. And then also, too, I have Women Veterans Giving, which is our nonprofit arm. And I started that at 2018. And that is for awarding a small business award to a women veterans founders. So if she's looking to start a business, has a business, we give an award, and it's not a physical award, it's actually a check. And we will be presenting that this year at the Veterans and Business Conference in November. And the applications are open. So if there are any women that are interested, womenveteransgiving.org, they can apply. And if they happen to miss the deadline, get on our email list, follow us on social media, because then you'll know when those opportunities arise.
Right, right. I know last time we talked, you were extremely busy, wearing many hats. And of course, you're the type of person that never stops. If you see somebody in need, you're there. So hats off to you for that, Melissa. I can't imagine, trying to keep up with you.
Yes, I do. My normal speed is 1,000 miles an hour, so it's a normal speed. Except when I'm on vacation, I crank it down a little bit.
What's vacation, seriously, for us women that are constantly on the go?
Yes.
Oh, so how I have a couple questions here that I wanted to ask our women here. And what inspired you to join the military?
What inspired me? Well, let me just share with this way, because so I was enlisted, and a lot of people understand, it's the strip mall with the different branches of service. So, of course, as many looking for an opportunity to serve my country, get away from home. And so pretty much the Navy was the branch. I didn't have any intent of joining which branch, just going to talk to the recruiters. The Marine Corps, they had like that pull-up bar, and I can't do pull-ups. They might as well just forget it. Air Force, they weren't there. They must have made their quota already. And the senior chief there, the Navy, started talking to me, and about, they upsell you. Right? They're like, oh, you could do this. But the only thing with him, though, so here I am. I mean, I joined at 18. And he was a little nervous, and he told me, he's like, I never put a girl in the Navy. So having that, and it's like I graduated high school at 17, so I was already in community college for a year, which was a great thing because I got college credits that transferred over, so I got to go in as a E2 instead of starting as a E1. And I always say too, why did I join the Navy? I joined the Navy to meet my husband, because if I didn't join the Navy, I wouldn't have met my husband in A school.
Well, there you go. That's quite the story. What are you most proud of in your time in service?
See, I mean, as far as proud of, or of course serving, but I don't know if the word is proud, but I feel my experience being able to travel the world. So my first ship was on the East Coast, a rescue salvage ship. So we got to do a 6-month deployment to the Mediterranean. So here I am, 19, 20 years old, going to the Mediterranean, and an opportunity to serve out of San Diego and take a Westpac and there. So to be able to literally experience and see the world
Right.
was an amazing experience.
That would be. One of the other female veterans that I've had on, Leah Stiles.
Yeah, I know, Leah.
You know Leah, so she was a photographer on one of the ships, and I'm like, if you would have told me that I could join the Navy and become a photographer, like I would have been there, but no one ever said that to me.
There's so many cool opportunities, from the band to all that. And speaking of Leah, I was hoping that would have been great if she joined, because she was our small business award recipient last year of our small business award. So yes, so Sea Waves was our winner on there. And I know Leah's doing, a lot of great things. And of course she's Navy. So there's that thing once, connect with other Navy folks. Yeah.
Right. So you had said something though that your recruiter said, and I'm paraphrasing, that he didn't want to put a woman in the Navy. Like,
well, he hadn't put one in he hadn't put a girl in before. So I was his first girl to put in the military. Yes, and he used that word girl, not woman, female. I was a girl.
Oh, okay. So did your fur fly a little bit when he said
a little bit? But I mean, you're still, I was 18. There's still that, being naive about things, and they definitely messed up because he did not give me the right things I was supposed to and not take to boot camp. It's like, you got to take all this stuff. I ended up shipping half of that stuff back home because they supplied it there when I got there.
Right. Now, come on, a man wrong.
Right. And then I had like super long, I had this great hair. So it's like suggested, you cut it because you're going to cut it off when you go there. So I go and I get it cut before I go there and get in a bob cut because I didn't want them to, and I didn't even have to. I could have just pinned it up.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So right there, like that would have been two strikes against him already.
Right? It's like
three, really.
Right? Yeah. But I mean, it was fine because, at that time, I was sent to Orlando. The recruit training center is no longer there, but it's so humid. I went in September, October. So in some ways it was good. I mean, I could have put it up, but at least I had the bob, so my neck was free of, but then I had like a bad sunburn I would get on my neck and my face as well.
So what was it like being the first female Navy officer then?
Well, not the first female, just the first one that he put in.
Right.
There. So a lot of people, when you come back from boot camp, one of the things you can do is like, you can work in their office. Mm-hmm. So he was actually very nice, but then they take you to the high school. So they utilized me, fresh from boot camp, to be able to talk to other high schoolers, more specifically the girls, about joining the Navy.
Right. And did you feel you had to prove yourself differently as a woman?
Of course. I mean, that's with anything. I mean, even outside of the military, there's things you have to, in a sense, prove as well.
Well, and now you're kicking ass and taking names in your own and helping women veterans along. So, I mean, kudos to you for just paving the way with that.
And I love every minute of it, to be able to provide opportunity. I don't think the word shattering the glass ceiling is really used anymore, but I just feel it's like, let me kick some doors in so you can come on, because there are so many other women who probably didn't even realize the doors that they kicked in, so I can do what I do. And to be able to honor those women who had a lot more tough time than we did. Mm-hmm. As well, but they definitely, helped us do what we do. Because when I was in, we weren't allowed on combat ships. Actually, when I was transitioning out of the military, they were starting to outfit the combat ships, like the aircraft carriers, they're for women. So there's only a certain amount of ships that women were allowed on when I was in. So now women are on all ships, submarines, different combat roles. So there's been a progression for our women, but with that too, it's how are we equipped as a community to be able to help our veterans when they transition out? And that's a lot of what I focus on. It's those that are transitioning out of the military and to be able to connect with them, whether she transitioned yesterday or 15 years ago, 5 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, and to be able to connect with her where she's at.
Right. What would you say was the hardest thing for you to come back into the civilian world? I mean, you had your husband who's a
I had my
Marine,
husband, yeah.
but
So
I mean,
yeah,
there still must have been some kind of transition for you.
there was a little transition, but it was a different transition because literally I walked off the ship. The next month I got married, and the next month he deployed.
Wow.
So it's just like now you're a Marine Corps wife, and yeah, I was on active duty, but I really didn't consider myself a veteran at the time. My dad's a veteran, he was in Vietnam, and that's a veteran. So I really wouldn't have worn a veteran hat or worn that type of stuff, which I do now, of course. But having that transition, and so I always like to share. So my first job out of the Navy was at a floor cleaning company, and the only reason that I was hired was because I knew how to operate a floor buffer. So in the Navy, you strip and you wax decks. And I had experience doing that. So I was able to get the office manager job literally like the week after I got out, and ended up being, a few months later promoted into sales. But that was my job, and using my transferable skills of operating a floor machine.
Wow. All skills are transferable.
They are, absolutely.
I love that. Have you, since you've been out though, has anybody ever said to you, sorry, there was a good question here and I skipped, I don't know, I'll try and remember it. Because I know I've heard a lot of female veterans say that they don't get recognized as a veteran. They'll say, "Oh, was your husband a veteran?"
Yep.
And it's like, no, well, yours was, but
Yes.
I just remember this one lady saying, because she went in for, it was Veterans Day, and Veterans Day, certain restaurants will give you like free food or drinks or stuff like that. And she's like, okay, I'm here for my free beer. Well, where your husband? Or no, like I served. Do you get that a lot?
Not a lot, but I do get it. And I did create a bumper sticker that talks about if I park in this veteran spot, it's because I am a veteran. So I'll tell you, this is probably a few years ago. We went to a baseball game, and it was honoring the military. And I'm a woman veteran hat on. I had the shirt on. My husband had a shirt on, but you had to be like a Marine to know what the shirt meant. So it wasn't like it was like Marine Corps. And I kid you not, and I'm glad he got to experience that this lady like tripped over me to thank him for his service. Ooh. Seriously. I mean, she just went like, and here I had the whole stuff I had, but she didn't see it. I mean, I had everything on, so it does happen. But as long as people don't mistake him for a soldier. So that really irritates him when people think he was, in the Army. So he makes sure quickly to correct people that he was, he's a Marine. But it happens. It's like, because what do women veterans look like? I mean, they look like me and other people, but we just have to make sure. And that's why I love when I get to go speak to like civilian groups, like the Rotary or other groups. And then, to be able to share with them, veterans all don't look like my dad with the, and he has like this dustiest Vietnam veterans ball cap, on, and we all don't look like that. And just, let's not make assumptions. And that's why it's important too with Women Veterans Recognition Day and other things that we do to acknowledge our women that, and, we've been serving since the Revolutionary War.
Yeah. That there's some stats here that I wanted to, that we were talking about before we went live, and it says here that 10% of all U.S. veterans are female, and I'm trying to find that exact. I said it before, but I'm trying to find it exactly. Sorry, I had it and then I moved
Oh,
my
Canada, I
screen.
think Canada's like 13 to 16 something
Yeah,
percentage. Yeah.
13 to 16% Canadian. So I was just like, because Canadian veterans don't really speak. They don't want to be recognized. They're just like, um, and I've actually talked to some, and they're just like, no, they just want to be left alone. And it's funny because I've had several family members that are like, well, why? I honor anybody who wants to be honored, and I don't expect everybody to want to share their story, right? Especially like Vietnam veterans, they don't want to talk about what they saw like out there. It's very hard for them to talk about it. Um, but for the people that are willing, and I'm finding that it's mostly Americans that want to come on and share their story, and they're like, "Well, why don't you do anything for Canadians?" I'm like, "Well, we do." Those that want to come on, and I do a lot of work with Chad Kennedy, who is a Canadian veteran walking C to C for PTSD, which I'll be hooking up again with him at the end of May to do a mental health walk in Kingsville,
Oh,
Ontario. So, you know, I go where the willing and the people that want the help or the want to be able to use the platform as a safe space to be able to share their story. Because I mean, some of the stories that I've heard from our veterans over the years make me so mad at how they were treated because they served their country. Like, I think it was Dr. DeTore, who was also, he was a commander, a Navy commander. And he said when he came back from, was it Afghanistan or one of his tours, anyways, he was literally spit on. And that just enraged me to no end that somebody would do that after, you guys sign up for the blank check.
yeah.
Um, and so for somebody to spit on you when you come back after defending your country, it's just like that just infuriates me. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, oh no, 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 no. That's I will not allow that, and especially on this show. Um, so bringing awareness to all the great things that you guys have done, and as well as, you guys do sign that blank check, man or female, right? Male or female,
Yes.
it doesn't
We're
matter.
still a volunteer force. Yes, we
That's
are.
right.
And on the Canadian, so I have now the Women Veterans Global Alliance. We have a monthly call with women veterans and those that support us around the globe. And we do have a good Canadian contingency of women veterans. So I'd love to get you dialed into some of those women veterans.
Sure.
And also, too, a lot of the research that's done in Canada when it comes to women in uniform. I have some great people I can get lined up. And so on the global call, we have women from the United Kingdom, Scotland. When we first started, we had Ukraine women come, which is very fascinating. Just having women from different countries to talk about what they've gone through. And it's very interesting because their stories are pretty much the same. It's just a different accent. So when they're talking, it's like, yeah, that's, and then how they are also treated after and how they are classified as veterans, because there's certain, what we have in the US may not be the same for other countries, how they classify veterans, also as far as the benefits that they receive. So it's become very eye-opening to understand other women, and some that have to serve, the 2 years. And so we're really getting that that monthly call, just really getting more women on, and we're looking for, we want to have, representation from the Five Eyes and others. And I was fortunate enough to go out to Cambridge in the UK, and we were able to meet up in person a couple months ago, and just to be able to connect with women and meet women from other countries and really understand them, because I feel it's important. Yeah, it's my story, but there are so many other stories, and we do share some commonalities, but we have differences, different things, experiences that happen to us. But just to be able to listen and really understand the others, their experience. And sometimes
Right.
it's really cool to hear some of the cool stuff that they got to do.
I love that. Yeah, I would love to join you on the call for
Yes,
sure.
yeah, no, I'll get you the invite if you're able to join. I know they would love we would love to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that. So I had no idea. And I didn't have a chance to look these women up. So apparently there are famous female veterans. It says some well-known women veterans include Tammy Duckworth. She was
Yes.
an Iraqi war veteran and U.S. senator.
Yes, she is senator. Yes, out of Illinois.
B. Arthur served in the
Yep.
U.S. Marine Corps.
From Maud and Golden Girls. Yes.
MC Light, a strong supporter of women's veterans, and Harriet Tubman served as a scout and spy during Civil War.
Yep.
What I found in doing some of this research, though, is before 1948, women actually, like you said, were in nursing or they came on as spies.
Spies, yeah. And also if you look at like the Hello Girls who answered the calls, I mean there is so much history when it comes to women because a lot of the stories still haven't been told. I mean, you look at the 6888 that's that served in World War II. I didn't know who they were until several years ago, and now now there was a Netflix movie, and now more people, even their families, know about what they've done. So it's important that we continue to share this not only just share the stories, but how do we continue to honor them. I know there was I was at a meetup in DC not that long ago, and one of the ladies, she's working on a project, and I think it is with the Hello Girls, because a lot of these women that were serving like during World War I, they're buried, but they don't have markers. They may not have markers that they've or in the military or have anything. So there's this big project of going and finding these women and where they're buried, and having them have a marker as far as them having served in the military. Yeah, and you have to get some of those ladies on that, just to talk about the Hello Girls and they had a big injustice to them because they weren't considered veterans when they got out, so they got no benefits. It wasn't until like the 1970s that they actually received that. So a lot of them were already passed. So they had to fight for those, their family and others had to fight for them to get those benefits. So yeah, the guys that got out got their GI Bill or whatever, their benefits. Nope, these ladies didn't.
Wow.
That could be a whole episode for you.
That could be an episode. My goodness. I had no idea the rich history that there is for women in the military or who were there but didn't classify it as being serving. Yeah. Man, and as a woman that fights for these rights, that's really irritates me.
Well, it does. I mean, and if I remember correctly, there's 3 women buried in Normandy from World War II that they're military. People probably wouldn't have known that. And I know one of the ladies that was telling me about that is her and her family went on a tour, and she already knew that the women were buried there. And the guide, even though he knew they were from the U.S., didn't share that there was the women. So she called the guide out on it. So hopefully now when he does have Americans or others that come to do the tour, that they make sure that they share that there are, American women buried here in Normandy.
So that is interesting, and I'm going to have to connect with John Marsack. He's a veteran. I want to say he was a SEAL, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember his story off the top of my head. But he now recovers the remains of the people that went MIA. So if there was a plane crash, especially during what was it, Vietnam or things like that. So like they're buried under the sea. So he is a diver and he goes and he dives and recovers the remains. And then what they do is they do like a documentary and a story, and then they give the book back to their people, like their families that are still surviving. So I'm going to have to ask him if he's ever recovered any female remains, and because I I'd be really interested to know if he knew that about the three women in Normandy that were buried, because I mean that's stuff that he really gets into. So I'm gonna have to call him up and have a conversation with this guy.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, and you look at the advancements of DNA and all that stuff. So everything like he's getting, I mean, to be able to identify those, to connect them with their family so they can be, put to rest properly.
Right. And I mean, sometimes there's not like a whole lot of the remains left. There could be like a percentage of the body, but
Yeah.
they're able to do some kind of testing to figure out that, yes, this is exactly, I think one of the oldest ones that it was like from, I don't know why I'm thinking 80 years ago. I think it was one of the planes that had went down, or I could be 100, I could be wrong too. But anyways, it was, they had been missing for a very long time. But it's, you know, anyways, we'll get off that topic because it's kind of morbid in a way. But but now I get to ask about female veterans when I have other people. So, well, thank you so much, Melissa, for coming on and sharing your experiences and educating other people about women in service. And we just want to recognize you on this day, June 12th, and really know that this is a day that put women on the map in our military. So thank you for being part of that.
Absolutely. And another thing too, just what I did last year in our county is I had our county supervisors do a proclamation for Women Veterans Recognition Day, which and they presented I was presented it at our county Board of Supervisors meeting. So these are just some other things for women to take in the next step. There are some states that do recognize Women Veterans Recognition Day, and Texas, I think, was the one that started it. But just other ways, we can help bring awareness and elevate that. And that's, I don't want to say it's an easy way for people to do, but even just start with your county and say, hey, I can even give people the wording what they can use for us to continue to get that recognition.
Right. And that is so important. I mean, like you said, not that you want to create the divide, but the divide's already there, really, essentially.
What is? It's just, again, it's recognizing what happened in 1948.
Right. Right. Well, again, thank you so much for your service. And where can people get a hold of you, and especially at the Women Veterans Alliance?
Yes. So if you Google Women Veterans Alliance, you Google Melissa Washington, I guarantee you will pop up on there. You can actually even use any AI chat because we appear in there as well. So yes, that's the easiest way. And I'm on, all the different social media platforms as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And again, thank you so much for your service and all you do for our female veterans. And love to support you in any way that we can, and definitely would like to be part of that global alliance.
Yep.
And
I wrote that down. Y'all get you an invite.
Perfect. We'll get more women on here sharing their experiences and bringing more, light to the situation here and getting more females recognized. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dorothy. Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Don't forget to join us tonight. We have a second edition tonight at 7:00. So subscribe to our YouTube channel if you can. That is the Unstoppable Network. Share with all your friends and families, and join us Monday nights at 7 p.m.